This is a story called The Little Monsters, Chapter 107. Creeper has an accident. It's half term and the kids are all sat outside around Kika's swimming pool. When her mum asked them what they were planning to do on their week off, they said that they didn't know. Then Kika's dad said, "Kika, you haven't used your new tent yet, so why don't you put it up in the back garden?" Then her mum said, "Actually, Charles, there's a campsite that's about a 10-minute bike ride from here. Maybe the gang would like to stay there for a couple of days. I'll ring their parents and check that it's okay with them. I'm sure it will be. That's if you kids want to go." Excuse me. "I want to go, Mum," said Kika. "Me too, Auntie Jane," said Creeper. "Me too, Auntie Jane," said Bumpy. "Me too, Auntie Jane," said Grumpy. "I do too, Auntie Jane," said Stampy. "I want to go too, Auntie Jane, but please can we eat first? I'm starving," said Stumpy. Everyone looked at each other, including Kika's parents, then at Stumpy, and together they said, "You're always hungry, Stumpy." They all laughed, including Stumpy. Had something to eat, and then Jane rang the other parents. They all gave their kids permission to go camping. Then they all went home to pack a bag, and then they went back to Kika's. They rode their bikes to the campsite, and Kika's dad took the tent in his car, as it was too big for the kids to carry on their bikes. When they got there, they pitched the tent with the help of Kika's dad. Then Kika's dad gave them some money and went home. As soon as he went, Kika said, "Who fancies hanging around outside that supermarket over there and taking some booze?" Everyone laughed and said, "I do." They made their way to the supermarket, and when anyone came out with any booze, they took it when they weren't looking. They did this for a couple of hours, and then they took it all back to the tent. Then they decided to go to the park for a bit. After a couple of hours, they went back to the supermarket. They went to the cafe for something to eat, and then they hung around outside the supermarket and took some more booze and took it back to the tent. Then they spent the night drinking and playing games. The next day it was raining, so they went to the bowling alley for a few hours, and then they went swimming. After they'd been swimming, they dropped their swimming stuff off, and then they went and hung around the supermarket. They took some booze when anyone came out with some, and then they took it back to their tent. That night they stayed at the tent drinking and playing games. However, the next day they knew that Kika's dad would be coming because they were supposed to be going home. They made sure that the tent was clean and tidy and that there was no sign of any alcohol, so that Kika's dad wouldn't know that they'd been drinking. When he got there, Kika asked him, "Dad, please can we stay until Sunday, seeing as how there's no school this week?" "Yeah, I can't see I can't see any reason why not. I'll let all your parents know and I'll pick you up about 4 p.m. on Sunday. Here's some money. There's enough there to go around and to last until Sunday," said Kika's dad. "Thanks, Dad. We'll see you on Sunday. Love you," said Kika. "See you on Sunday, sweetheart. Love you too. Behave yourselves, all of you," said Kika's dad. "We will," said Kika. As soon as Kika's dad was out of sight, they all went back in the tent and took out the booze they'd hidden. A few days later, on the Sunday, Kika's dad came to pick up the tent and the kids got on their bikes and set off home. However, On the way there, a little dog came out of nowhere and ran in front of Creeper, and she ran it over. When she pulled her brakes, her back wheel went up, sending her flying over the handlebars. She landed on her head, knocked herself out and broke her arm. The owners of the dog grabbed it and phoned an ambulance for Creeper. She was rushed to hospital and the little dog was rushed to the vet, but thankfully it suffered no serious injuries. When Creeper regained consciousness, all she did was ask about the little dog and complain that she had a really bad headache and that she didn't feel right. Then she suddenly lost consciousness again, and the doctors took her for a brain scan, which showed that she had a slight bleed on the brain. The doctors fixed the problem, and they said that if she hadn't have been wearing her helmet, the outcome could have been much worse and she could have been killed. When she came round after her operation, all she did was cry and ask about the little dog. The owners of the dog went to visit her in hospital to reassure her that their little dog had been checked over by a vet, and apart from a broken leg, she was fine. Creeper said to her mum, "Mum, please give this lady all my pocket money that I've been saving up to pay the vet's bill." "Don't be daft, sweetheart. The vet's bill is paid in full and we don't want you to give us your money. Bella's fine. She can't go charging around all over the house or wherever because of her leg. But apart from that, she's fine," said the dog's owner. "Yeah, but it was my fault. I should have pulled my brakes sooner," said Creeper, crying. "Creeper, it wasn't your fault, sweetheart. It could have happened to any of us. Besides, the postman left the gate open. He was new and he didn't realise we had a dog. Anyway, we have something to tell you about Bella." "Is Bella okay? Because I'll never forgive myself for hurting her," cried Creeper. "Bella's fine. It's nothing like that, sweetheart. We've noticed that she's put a lot of weight on recently, and we suspected that she might be pregnant. We mentioned it to the vet and he did an ultrasound scan on her and confirmed that she is pregnant. The vet said she's having at least 8 puppies, but the vet thinks it could be more. We know the father's out of the dog because we don't let her off the lead when we take her for walks. We were wondering if you'd like one of her babies when they're old enough to leave their mum when they're about 8 weeks old. We've already spoken to your parents and they said it was okay with them." As you can imagine, this news really cheered Creeper up. The others all asked their parents and they all said yeah. After a week, Creeper was well enough to go home, but she had to stay off school for a few days until she was well enough to go back. 2 weeks after she came home, Bella gave birth to 12 healthy puppies, 7 girls and 5 boys. Every day the kids went to visit them before and after school. As soon as they were old enough to leave their mum, they all took their chosen puppy home. They took them back to see their mum and dad on a regular basis, and they became friends with Bella's owner's kids as they all went to the same school. End of chapter 107. Hope you like it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.